I am an artist, I'm a keen gardener, and I have a very special interest in soil. And I bring all these three things together in my art. Soil is basically composed of four things, right? It's got the sort of organic component, which is leaves and wood and various and all the microorganisms within it. That's one thing. And the second thing is the mineral side of it. The third is water, and the fourth is air, oxygen. These four elements must be in the soil in a good balance for it to be a healthy soil. If the soil we have just the mineral, then whatever that mineral is, that's all the fertility that plants need are in those minerals. But the plants can't access those minerals without the microorganisms. Many people might burn something like this to get the ash, but I prefer to compost it and let it break down. This will give me a good compost that's full of microorganisms I can put back onto the soil. So this pile was the same size last year. It's a great big heap. It's completely rotted down. It's gone down into this really beautiful soil. Soil, it's still got some organic bits in it. Smells good, and I'm sure it's full of microorganisms. The more microorganisms you have, then are sort of eating away at the minerals in the soil, and they're releasing the minerals at the atomic level in through their bodies and forming very simple sort of amino acids which can then be absorbed by the plants. So that way, what is basically stone is turned into food that plants can absorb, right? So you need these four elements together to have healthy soil. You must have the mineral, the organic, the air, and the water in the right mixture. Most of the colors that I use come from the mineral. So when I'm making paints, if I dig up some soil, I will carefully clean out the organic from it, and I will clean it down to the basic mineral to turn it into a paint. Everywhere I go has a slightly different palette of colors. So for instance, in Sussex, we have the beautiful white cliffs, you know, the famous white cliffs of England, which are made of white chalk. It's the only bit of soil that I brought over here from England because it gives me this lovely white color. Hong Kong itself, there are different palettes of colors depending on where I am. So here in the Lam Tsuen Valley, I have a sort of basic ochre color that I dig out of the ground, which is this color. When I first dig it out, it looks rather dirty, but when I cleaned it up and paint with it, it has a rather beautiful golden color in the paint. And then when you go up the sides of the hills, you find orange and sort of up to quite reddish sort of colors in the hills, right? And also because there's a lot of decomposed granite around, those decomposed granites have different brilliant colors within them that I can sort of crush them up and turn them into paint. If I go to a different part of Hong Kong, I will find slightly different colors as well. I think it's very important if one is taking an interest in soil painting that one has some sort of ethics around that. The first thing is to be very environmentally conscious when you're collecting and not to damage in any way the environment. I always collect just very small amounts from the surface without leaving any visible mark. I would never take a spade and dig up or damage the side of a pathway or anything like that. The second thing, to use the soil painting as a way to raise the sort of ecological consciousness of everyone who is looking at and enjoying the painting, right? The third thing I think is important in a way is to recognize the historical context, like who were the people in the past who were perhaps farming that area, who were caring for that soil, and therefore to have some consciousness and awareness and thankfulness in your mind for the sort of historic context. During the more than a year leading up to this artist in residency, I've visited the farm many times. Right from the earliest days of Kadoorie Farm, the botanical side of the farm has been incredibly important. And the woodlands up here have sort of about 80% of all the trees in Hong Kong or more are represented here. On top of that, Kadoorie has a sort of farming emphasis. There is an initiative towards the sort of the orchard and the forest farming happening, I understand. So I think, you know, on that side there's some very interesting developments. And look at the different soil colour. The soils lower down in the sort of farming areas are more like a yellow ochre colour. And then as I get up through the trees here, perhaps around the sort of butterfly area, the soil on the side of the paths is quite orange. And as I got higher up the hill, it seemed to get more red. So I've already noticed some gradient of colour within Kadoorie Farm already. I'm really keen to get the maximum value out of the residency. So that is both on the educational side, running workshops for hopefully many, many people on understanding soil and soil painting.